We're not going to make this long because we know y'all want to do what you do. And we don't have a chance to do this, but every so often. Our goal tonight is to make sure that has a great time. And you can leave glad that you can. So we're going to make this really quick. I'm going to have Morehouse President, Dr. David Thomas, come up and give us some greetings. And then after that, if Mr. Jerome Russell is in the house, if he's ready, he'll say a few words, and then we'll let you get back to doing what you do. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to. Chance to fellowship, and we'll be also doing some live streaming as well. You know, we're going to live stream as well. For those who could not be here, we're going to push that out on the Morehouse Alumni YouTube channel. So without further ado, I ask Dr. David Thomas, President of Morehouse College, to come forward.
Thank you, and welcome back to the campus, class of 1978. Grade 78. That's right. And you know, you guys, those of you who are in the know that you are special to me, because had I been able to afford to come to Morehouse, yeah, it's so interesting. Now I'm the president. I got into Morehouse. They didn't give me any scholarship. I had to come back as the president. But some of you remember in 2018, at your 40th reunion, you adopted me into the class of 1978 at Morehouse. And just to show you how much that meant to me, I'm standing here right now. This is also the year that at my alma mater, it's my 45th reunion, and I have never gone to a reunion at my alma mater. But my attachment to this class at Morehouse runs deep. Many members of your class have become friends of mine. Calvin, Edwin Moses, and he's not in the room now because he's probably feeding his face. But I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with David Moody. I did not make it to the top. And Moody got about 3,000 feet higher than I did. But we had a wonderful time fellowshipping. And, you know, you think about it through the maze lens, right? The tragedy in life is not reaching your goals, but it's having no goals to reach. And we set the goal of getting to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. So we had a goal. And we both have said, if you can believe this, we tried it at 66. And we both have said we're going back in 2025 and we're going to get to the top. We're going to take our sons with us, so we have somebody to carry us the rest of the way. I think we're going to make it. Let me say too, it's great to be in a room with Morehouse men, and there are so many women. You know, so thank you. I don't know whether you're spouses, sisters, daughters. You look a lot younger than these guys do. You're Spellman sisters, okay, Spellman sisters. Anyway, great to be here with you guys. I don't know your name, but when Calvin stopped everything so I could talk. I wanted to tell him, just let her keep sitting. Let her keep sitting. Some of you were at a talk I gave today to Morehouse and Month, where I talked about the state of the school. I won't redo that talk. I think the bottom line, though, is that the school is in a great place. And during these last almost 6 years now that I've been here, I think we've moved to Morehouse College so that it's now a platform that is ready to take off to a new level. I was just talking to one of the members of the class who gave me a great compliment, which was, he said he walked the campus today and it's the best he's ever seen the campus look. And we've been trying to invest, in our students, but also in the living, learning environment that we create for them. And part of that, some of you saw today in my presentation, is our plan to totally reimagine the main campus. The campus that includes Hubert Hall, White, the tennis courts. We're totally reimagining it, and the board has committed to invest in that reimagination, which we think, the way I refer to it is, it's a 100-year decision. In the same way that in the 1880s, Morehouse got the resources to buy the highest hill in Atlanta and put Graves Hall on it. And if you think about all the, things you get from Morehouse, the image is Graves Hall. It's never what's down on the main campus. In the future, it'll be Graves Hall and it'll be the main campus. That's where we're headed. We're having record admissions. We, in the last 5 years, have almost doubled the number of applications. It continues to go up. Our challenge is that that also means we can take less students who apply to Morehouse. And so we've got some things to think about in terms of how we make the Morehouse opportunity as widely available and accessible as possible. And one of the things we've done is create the first HBCU globally accessible undergraduate online program for men who have some college, no degree. Turns out in our country, there are 3 million Black men with some college, no degree. And I'm happy to say that Sunday, the first graduates of that program are going to walk the stage in graduation. There will be 7 of them. 6 of them started Morehouse and never finished. And one of them left Morehouse 29 years ago and now is able to finish and wrote a beautiful note about he didn't come back because, he needed a job. He'd actually done quite well in life. He came back because it was about completing himself, and the journey that he started here in Morehouse has started to define him. On the low end of that 6 former Morehouse men of Morehouse is someone who graduated 11 years ago. So they're all somewhere between 29 and 11 years ago, and we created this opportunity for them to finish. And we're rapidly expanding that. And our graduates are doing phenomenal. I don't know, probably some of you have sons who are graduating. The opportunities that our students are getting are just off the charts. The best companies in the world recruit here. I taught at Harvard for 22 years. I was dean at Georgetown. I taught at the University of Pennsylvania. And we have a better slate of companies now recruited here than we had recruiting undergraduates at Georgia.
It's your boy, the Godfather, DJ Chico Renfro Jr., coming to you live from the ATL 247mixing.com. This is how I do it every Saturday from
Thank you, Calvin, other members of the class, for consistently. I won't be able to stay for the long night, because when we have my job, there are 3 or 4 places you can be at any one point in time. When you show up, it doesn't matter to people, but when you don't, they talk about you. So with that, hopefully, you'll get a chance to engage each other in the conference. I'll see you tomorrow night at the dinner, along with my wife, who's been my partner in the work that we've tried to do here at Morehouse College. And I want to thank all of you, especially those of you who have provided financial support to the college, because that's critically important. And much of that support goes to make Morehouse affordable for the young men who want to come here. And so you know my story. I only applied to 2 places. I wanted to go to Morehouse, and I applied to a place a counselor told me to apply to that I have barely heard of, called Yale. I got into both. Morehouse didn't give me any money. Yale gave me a full ride. I came from a family where nobody went to college. My father was a janitor and a welder, and he pulled me aside and basically said, I got 0, you got 0, Morehouse gave you 0. Follow the money. So it took me 50 years to get here, and my goal is to not have any more David Thomases. A young man who knows Morehouse is the right place for him to be, and the only thing between him and that opportunity is being able to afford the tuition. So that's what your donations in large measure do. So I want to thank all of those of you who've been consistently supporting the college, and ask those of you who perhaps have not to just ask yourself, what did Morehouse mean to me? And have I returned it with an equal level of gratitude? Because I think many of you will say, when I talk to our alumni, and he's getting ready to pull the hook on me, many of you will say that Morehouse was transformative for you, and we need your support. So thank you.
Appreciate it. These folks are looking to fund, so we can see what they can do. And Doc, we need you to pay, put a little something on the class gift, and that'd be great. Since we get appreciate his honorary member of the class. All right, we're gonna keep it moving and keep it going. We'll be doing a podcast upstairs, and make sure that you eat and you drink and you enjoy yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know me, particularly like Sterling's wife, we're glad to have, and others, we want to thank you. KT, need you up here. Yes, sir. Jeff, need you up here. Yes, sir. Class of 78 is honored to have a loyal brother. A loyal brother has served us for 44 straight years. In that light, we want to recognize that brother for his contribution. This gift comes on behalf, secretly, from all of the brothers of the class of 78. For those who may know me, my name is General George, and we are so honored to be here tonight because, Wilma, love you, baby. We're honored to be here because one of our dear brothers, Greg Jones, recently passed away. And Greg touched all of our lives. And if you were at his funeral, you saw nothing but love from the AUC. But tonight, we're going to recognize our class agent, and his commitment to us, even when many of us were busy doing whatever we were doing in life. So we designed something specifically just for him. You will not see this anywhere in the world. There's nowhere in the world where you can see this. Hold it up, Jeff. Nowhere in the world can you find this. It is ubiquitously made just for this one individual. But we're gonna make sure that whenever he wears this, no matter where he goes in the world, on the front, it already tells you Morehouse man. On the back, it has his name. On the front is the year we came in, which is 74, maintenance year as mayor of the city of Atlanta. And on the back is the year of 78, because anybody that knows us knows 78, we always rock. We've always rocked. We rocked with ourselves and we rocked with Spellman. And I came up with the idea for us to do this in 79 with Cal, and we have been with the class of Spellman all those years. So ladies, we want to thank you on our 45th. KT is going to bless this jacket. Cal, get a seat. Come on, Cal, get a seat. KT's going to bless this jacket because everybody know KT can bring it home. Because everybody know KT speaks for the Lord. So KT, you're going to go ahead and take it home.
Everybody in the house, would you please extend your hands toward Calvin? Just extend your hands toward Calvin. Just hold this, brother. Please extend your hands toward Calvin. Everybody who believes in the power of prayer, please join me. Please agree with me. Lord, we come lifting up your son, Calvin Bismail. We know that the job that he has undertaken is not an easy one, that everybody complains and very few people give him gratitude. And so even as I lay my hands on him, oh God, I pray that you lay your hands inside his heart. Breathe inside his lungs. Facilitate the flow of the blood in his veins. Receive this gift that we have given him. Anoint it so that its contact with him reminds him of your presence. Father, we thank you for his willingness to serve. And we thank you for the excellence in which he does it. We thank you for those who have been sent to help him and those who help him without asking for anything. Bless him now. Receive this laying on of hands, a tradition that originated with the Hebrews and was adopted by Christians. We pray now, God, his well-being. Lift him up when he's down. Encourage him. Lord, I pray this prayer. There are those who don't believe in you at all. That does not intimidate you. There are those who pray to you in the name of Allah. Some who pray to you in the name of Yahweh. But I pray to you in the name of Jesus the Christ. It is so. Amen. Amen. Somebody come get this mic, because I will keep it. Somebody get it.
I guess it's my turn now. Calvin, my dog.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Chico Retro Jr. is in the house. The weekend is here. Ladies and gentlemen, Chico Retro Jr. is in the house. The weekend. weekend is here. The weekend is here. Now, it's time. The master.
There's a party going on right here. A celebration to last throughout the year.
Looks like y'all ain't drunk enough. Y'all ain't ready to party. We're going to bring the band back up, and I'll come back up a little bit later on when y'all done had about 2 or 3. But since y'all only had 1 drink, y'all ain't ready to party with me yet. Ladies and gentlemen, show of the love. Put your hands together for Melvin Jordan and friends featuring the lovely Miss Juanita Craft. Make some noise out there, y'all. Thank you.
I do hurt suddenly appear every time you are near, just like me. They belong to me, close to you. Why do a star come from the sky every time you walk by? Just like me, you belong to me, close to you. On the day that you were born, the angels got together and decided to create a dream come true. So they sprinkled moon dust in your hair, and on that darling, I love you. That is why all the girls in town follow you all around. Ooh, just like me, they long to be close to you. Ooh, just like me. friends got together and they decided to create a dream come true. Always grateful for God in your hand. Oh, my darling, that is why all the girls in town run over you. Oh, just like me. I long to be close to you. One more time, one more time. Close to you.
Hey, good evening. This is Mark Parham. I'm here at the Spellman Morehouse 1978 class reunion, and I have with me, I'm going to bring him into the stream here, Brother Edwin Moses. He's going to answer a few questions that we have for him about Morehouse and his experience at Morehouse. The first question is, how did you get to Morehouse?
I got to Morehouse on an academic scholarship. A lot of people being a physics major, and that was tough.
Okay, so tell me this. How did your Morehouse experience impact your journey?
It impacted my journey from the time I hit college because, as most of us do, we come in as some of us, like me, I was like a nerd. I was pretty much a little boy at 17 years old and went out with the Olympic gold medal, degree in physics. It's impacted my entire life, and I talk about Morehouse and how it has impacted my life and encouraged and enthused me to do everything that I've been able to do.
All right. So tell me how you're enjoying tonight's celebration.
So far, so good. Good to see a lot of the classmates that I haven't seen in many, many years.
How many years?
It's been a lot of years. It's been 45 since we graduated. For me, add another 5.
Wow.
So, for me, I see guys that I met in 72, 73.
All right. So, any words that you have for the young brothers on campus trying to cut their teeth at Morehouse?
Well, I talk to them all the time. I go over to the track and speak with young athletes and work with the journalism program all the time. And everyone always says that no matter how smart they are, many of them have never been in an environment where, there's like 15 guys smarter than you
Right.
all the time. And the problem with Morehouse is getting through that sophomore year. If you can make it through that sophomore year, you can cut the gravy.
Sophomore.
Yeah, midway through that second year, that's where the rubber meets the road. And the guys that everyone says it's tough, no matter, even if they get straight A's, they say it's tough. If you get B's and C's, it's tough. So that experience really transfers and follows us through our life.
Well, any last words of wisdom before I take my next?
I'm just glad to be back with the brothers that I grew up with. I went to school when I was 17, so I was like one of the younger students on campus, and stayed for 5 years. And I'm just glad that I had the kind of support back then from the guys that I went to school with, and as well as today.
All right, sir. Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna let you get back to the party.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, talk to you later.
Brainwashed about 5 minutes of your life.
There you go, man.
No memory.
Morehouse College was founded in 1867 during the Reconstruction era and is one of the many historically black colleges and universities created at this time with the intent of providing education to African Americans. During Reconstruction, hundreds of historically black colleges and universities were founded in order to improve literacy and increase educational opportunities among the newly freed slaves. Some of these included Tuskegee University, Spellman College, Howard University, and Hampton University. Morehouse College, as well as other historically black colleges and universities, acted as a sanctuary for African Americans in a racist and oppressive society. To this day, Morehouse College provides African American males with the opportunity to gain a higher education and boasts an extensive list of notable alumni. Morehouse College was co-founded by William White and Richard Coulter, a former slave who was freed during the Civil War. The college was founded in the basement of Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia, which was the oldest independent African American church in the United States. The college was originally named the Augusta Institute and was sponsored by the American Baptist Home Mission Society, whose purpose was to provide financial aid to African American colleges. The Augusta Institute originally set out to train preachers and teachers, as well as increase literacy among African American males. However, the Augusta Institute found that there were many obstacles ahead of them, including financial and racial troubles. The high tension between the white and black communities in Augusta, due to the presence of the Augusta Institute, led to the relocation of the college.
Hey, it's Mark Parham, and I'm back. And I got two. They say they're roommates, so they had to come in here together.
That's right.
All right, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Glenn Battle, class of 78.
David Witherspoon, class of 78.
All right, I have a set list of questions I'm supposed to ask you. So the first question is, how did you get to Morehouse?
I'll go first. So it was really interesting. I applied to several colleges, and Morehouse wasn't one of them. And I had a scholarship for wrestling at Penn State. So I visited Penn State. I visited other colleges, and I sent my application actually to Harvard, and Harvard sent me back a Morehouse application. So that's how I ended up getting to Morehouse.
Wow.
They rejected you.
Yeah, they rejected me. They rejected me. But, hey, you know what though? That rejection, that's the best thing that ever happened to me coming to Morehouse.
Best thing.
Yeah, lifelong friendships with guys like him and others.
How did you get to Morehouse?
People in the community where I live, around the block.
So you grew up in the A?
Yeah, I lived in an area, a lot of black professionals, and several of them were Morehouse grads, doctors, dentists. So, you looked around the street and you played with the kids. His dad's a dentist, his dad owns. They all said, well, we went to Morehouse, so that's where you go.
All right.
It was pretty simple.
So other than you guys being roommates, what was your greatest achievement while you were at Morehouse?
Oh, greatest achievement. Well, I have to
What
say,
you can talk about it.
I have to say it was two. One, David, me, and about four others formed a business club at the direction of Professor Williams. So one of the people that we ended up getting to come down and we took him to dinner was Grantham. What's his first name? Larry Grantham. Charlie Grantham, who ended up being big in the NBA, but at that point he was director of admissions at Wharton. And because of us having established a relationship with him and talking to him and interacting with him, he promised all of us scholarships to Wharton. David was the only one that took it.
He's the only one.
Yeah, he was the one that took it. I went in a different direction, and some other people went in a different direction. I wanted to work. I didn't want to go to school anymore. But anyway, he ended up following through on his promise because, like I said, David ended up getting a scholarship and taking it at Wharton.
All right. So what was your biggest achievement?
It's hard to say. I think you're just a student at school, but probably the biggest achievement when I look back is just really the friendships.
The friendship.
You gather. I went to 2 grad schools, Rutgers, University of Penn, and the blacks, how we get along here years later, is a lot of togetherness that you don't get. I feel sorry.
So you don't get that at other places?
No, I actually personally feel sorry for a lot of the blacks who went to undergrad schools like Cornell and Princeton.
Really?
I know them at my grad school, but they have no cohesiveness. They're just sort of taught to just make a high salary, go your own way, get yours. And that's
Proof of that is the president just talked to us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
he went to Yale, right?
He
said he's never been back to their reunion. Think about that. That's what he said just now.
Because more.
How many reunions have you been back to?
He lives in Atlanta,
so I live right here. So. I've been back here. I've missed any of the big ones, like 35, 40, and 45. So yeah, I was living on the West Coast though. So and I was a football official. So Friday nights and Saturdays I was working.
Right.
So it was hard for me to make.
Yeah.
So once I stopped doing that, I've been pretty consistent.
So you talk about the Morehouse experience. So how did it impact your life journey after Morehouse? I mean, you've already said a little bit about the friendships and things like that, but how did it really impact?
Oh, I'll tell you one of the things. A professor said it to us. One of the things that it gets ingrained in you as a Morehouse man is get up after you got knocked down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I've actually used that, created that statement to not let things keep me down, to make sure I keep getting up, no matter what tragedy.
One of your professors?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
What about you?
Well, for me, it's the influence from people you meet on campus. I was fortunate. I think I was down here in 68, 69. I met Dr. Benjamin Mays, who, as you probably know, is the president for about 25 years at Morehouse. I met, Maynard Jackson was on campus, so you get to meet so many of the different politicians, and they talk to you about what they've achieved, what they've done. So when you get out in the world working, you pull on their strengths. And of course, when you read the history of like Dr. Benjamin Mays or Hugh Gloucester, you realize the things they went through. I mean, Dr. Benjamin Mays got pulled off trains coming to the South and beaten. And Gloucester and them had to stand in front of Greg's Hall, if you know where that's at, years and years ago when the white mobs were going to burn down the buildings and stand out there all night with shotguns. So how can you complain when your Starbucks coffee's hot? Not hot. So, those guys give you a lot of shoulders to stand on, and then you push it on to the next kids.
The last question I have for you is kind of my question. There's a lot of young men in college right now, and they're getting faced with it. You don't need school. You can just do this. What do you want to say to them to keep them in school and on their educational path?
Well, I would say that going to college is more than just books.
Gotcha.
There's a whole learning process about interacting with people, becoming fellowshipping. You learn a whole lot out of the classroom, actually. And one of the other things that drove me was when I was in a room and I wasn't the smartest guy in the room. And I'm competitive. So I would say that if you're driven and you're a competitive person, going to college actually motivates you, because you look to your right, you look to your left, and you see other people achieving, and you're thinking, I'm just as good as that person. So yeah, it drives you to achieve. Yeah, and I would say they'd be missing that if they didn't go to school. They'd miss that opportunity to challenge themselves to be better.
Yeah, I would pretty much agree with Glenn. He was captain of the tennis team. They won a couple of championships in their division, and he was very competitive. And, to me, education just helps you grow, to know yourself at the same time. On a side note, great place to find a wife, man. Those Spellman women are some amazing. There's
Spellman women here tonight, aren't there?
Oh yeah.
And many of them have become like really some fine business women. The singer was from Spellman. I mean, we've seen many of them. There's several female judges down there from our classes, doctors. Some amazing women down there. So
Yeah, they're not only
it's a great place to. Well, his wife's from Spellman,
Yeah.
So you met your wife here?
I did.
All right.
Freshman week.
All right.
I did.
All right.
Both my wives.
Both your wives. All right.
Yeah, I married two Spellman ladies.
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up with that one.
Right. Thank you very much.
But I want to thank you guys coming up. Let you go back to the party.
Okay.
Get it back on.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
No. I'm Calvin B. Smith. I'm his cousin. I went to Albany State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Golden Round.
Greenwash about 5 minutes of your life.
There you go, man.
No memory.
Oh my God. Oh.
All right, this is Mark Parham, and I'm back. I have two more guests to the party. Morehouse Spellman class of 1978 class reunion. I have Charles Nielsen and Vince Johnson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you know I got a list of questions I have to ask you.
Okay.
So the first question for you, Charles, is how'd you get to Morehouse?
I got to Morehouse because I grew up in Colorado. My mom's neighbor, when she was growing up in Alabama, had gone to Morehouse, and he was living in Denver. And when I started about ninth grade, so he'd come up to see us. We talked about Morehouse, and I wanted to go to an HBCU. And I knew a lot
You
about
did want to
Morehouse.
go to an HBCU.
Wanted to go to an HBCU.
Okay.
And I got to meet Julian Baum when I was in high
So
school.
you weren't here by accident then?
No.
All right. What about you?
My godfather spoke about Morehouse and said I should check it out. When I checked it out, I got the brochure. It said, "Be somebody. Be a Morehouse man."
Yeah, Morehouse man.
Right. And Lerone Bennett was on the brochure, Martin Luther King, and Julian Bond. I'm like, wow, those guys are in ebony. I love those guys.
Yeah, all right.
And that's what made me come to
That's what
Morehouse.
makes you come. So I tell you what, while you were here, what was your greatest achievement?
That's a good question. I guess I graduated, went to grad school. One thing I was proud of, I got a National Science Foundation grad fellowship when I was here. So that was something that came from being here. Morehouse.
Well, I was the first student intern of Journal of Negro History with Hornsby. And that set me up for a scholarship for Temple Law School. So that was it for me.
That was it for you. You know, he only told me to ask 3 questions, but I have another one. We have a lot of young men in college right now. What would you say to them that you're getting tempted by doing other stuff? So what do you say to them to keep them on their journey at Morehouse?
Well, I would say, I think sometimes Morehouse, every place like it's going to be difficult while you're doing it. But, you got to hang in and you benefit so much from finishing and being here and doing well. You benefit a lot from it. You just got to figure out how to make it work for you, what you need to do to be successful, and listen to people and try to seek out their advice on what to do. And I found that recognize that, people really are looking out for you and let them do it.
Nice. Well, with me, seeing these people here, Hornsby, McBay, Mapp, it was like, if you see it, you can be it. And I saw them, and I knew I could do it. That's the deal.
So you tell these young brothers to hang in there.
Hang in there. Yeah. Look at your role models, follow their path, and you can be successful.
A whole lot of role models left. Except for you guys. You guys are role models.
Yeah, we're around.
So, well, I just want to take a little of your time. I'll let you get back to the party.
All right.
Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Bye-bye.
later.
Thank you.
Morehouse College was founded in 1867 during the Reconstruction era and is one of the many historically black colleges and universities created at this time with the intent of providing education to African Americans. During Reconstruction, hundreds of historically black colleges and universities were founded in order to improve literacy and increase educational opportunities among the newly freed slaves. Some of these included Tuskegee University, Spellman College, Howard University, and Hampton University. Morehouse College, as well as other historically black colleges and universities, acted as a sanctuary for African Americans in a racist and oppressive society. To this day, Morehouse College provides African American males with the opportunity to gain a higher education and boasts an extensive list of notable alumni. Morehouse College was co-founded by William White and Richard Coulter, a former slave who was freed during the Civil War. The college was founded in the basement of Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia, which was the oldest independent African American church in the United States. The college was originally named the Augusta Institute and was sponsored by the American Baptist Home Mission Society, whose purpose was to provide financial aid to African American colleges. The Augusta Institute originally set out to train preachers and teachers, as well as increase literacy among African American males. However, the Augusta Institute found that there were many obstacles ahead of them.
Hey, this is Mark Parham, and I'm back. Morehouse Spellman class of 1978 class reunion. And I have a couple more guests with me. I'll tell you what, introduce yourself.
I am Daryl Burnett, and I am from Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm Oliver Robinson. I grew up in Pensacola, Florida.
All right, good deal. So the first question I've been asking everybody is, what brought you to Morehouse?
Well, after sitting out 2 or 3 months after graduating from high school and being turned down by several of the predominantly white schools, my mother encouraged me to attend an HBCU. I applied to Alabama State, Tuskegee, Morehouse, and Florida A&M University. My mom took a look at the forest choices and she said, I prefer you to go to Morehouse. That was my first time ever leaving the state of Florida to go to Georgia to attend Morehouse College in 1974.
Came up here to Georgia. What about you? What brought you to Morehouse?
Well, 2 things actually. One was my mother went to Spellman, and her stepmother went to Spellman, and so they kind of instilled on me to go to an HBCU. And interestingly, Mr. Jackson, who used to be one of the college recruiters, he came to my high school, and they asked to see 3 black young men. I was one of those guys.
Oh.
And he talked about Morehouse so much and made an impression on me. And with my mother behind me and this guy, I said, I'm going to Morehouse.
Morehouse.
That was the reason I got
After you made that decision too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what was your accomplishment while you were here? What was the big thing for you?
Well, after my sophomore year, and Oliver and I are the same sector of Florida on the panhandle of the state of Alabama, but I didn't come from a wealthy family, so my mom and father ran out of money my sophomore year. So I got into Air Force ROTC, the program that extended over to Georgia Tech. And then when the recruiter came over and said the ROTC scholarship would pay for my cost of attendance, I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, we'll cover your tuition, buy your books, and give you a $100 stipend every month.
Ain't heard that.
So I went from the richest guy on campus.
You got that right.
Got commissioned as second lieutenant in the United States Air Force, served for 22 years, I'm sorry, and retired as a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force.
That's a great story.
That is a great story. If it wasn't for the foundation that Morehouse had provided me.
The foundation. That's what everything is built on.
Yes, it
Good
is.
thing, man.
What about you? What was your biggest accomplishment?
Well, one of the things I always wanted to be is in student government. It seemed like I kept running for different positions and never would get them. And so eventually, my senior year, I ran for class president and won, surprisingly.
So you got a little taste.
Yeah, I got a little taste, man. And so it was fun being class president because I got to know a lot of the brothers and a lot of the girls over at Spellman. And it just kind of helped me sort of find myself, my little niche, and trying to be a leader, and then got the opportunity. And I think that kind of helped me throughout life, knowing that if you keep doing something or trying something, you'll eventually get it.
And that leads us to the last question, or second to the last question. How did your Morehouse experience impact your journey and the rest of your life?
Well, after 22 years in the United States Air Force, traveling all over the world, I wanted to do something totally different. And so I got into higher education and started out as a budget director at Central State University.
Okay.
But realized that job was not comparable to what I was doing in the United States Air Force. So after 2 years as a budget director, I applied for being a vice president and got selected. And then at Winston-Salem State University. And then I continued to move around from different colleges as I was pursuing my PhD. And so presently today,
so you wasn't a smarty eye, really.
I'm currently the chief operating officer at Kentucky State University today.
Wow.
Well, let's see. Morehouse definitely prepared me. There were a lot of, how can I say, rough stones at Morehouse, or challenges. Let's call them challenges. And I think the challenges that I had at Morehouse helped prepare me for later in life. Because it seemed like every job that I achieved after I graduated, I was the first Black in that position.
Isn't that something?
And so, even though I went to an HBCU, it didn't intimidate me being in the white world. It sort of reinforced that you're just as good as anybody else. And so I went through my career, always being the first. And it was always the first and the youngest.
Wow.
And so that, and again, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. I think I'd have gone somewhere else. I'd probably been a lot more intimidated with my personality, but again, being at Morehouse, it kind of pushed me to the forefront, and I kept going, man.
Wow.
Still doing it.
But the last question I have for you, a lot of young brothers going to Morehouse now, trying to do the college thing, but they're getting tempted. Quick money, quick, fast money, everything turned on Facebook. What kind of suggestion do you have for them? Why should they stay on the course that they're on?
Well, today, let me back up. When Oliver and I were coming along, there were a lot of programs set aside for minorities and particularly African Americans. I would not have been recruited to go into the United States Air Force if it wasn't for affirmative action. But a lot of those programs are gone today. And as a result of that, a lot of the industry is biased as to who they hire. So I would say to this younger generation that they need to learn as much as they can, develop the skills that makes them competitive, not just with their classmates, but also the colleagues that are coming from the PWIs. And then once they get into those professional jobs, to always reach back and help the next African American kid that's coming along. Because at the end of the day, those same opportunities that we were able to achieve when we were coming along may not be available for the new generation of African Americans coming along.
I echo that.
You echo that?
And yeah, interestingly, my youngest son went to Morehouse, and he came out during the pandemic in 2020. So he didn't have this same experience that I had. So he really didn't have a graduation experience. He came off a spring break and never went back. Right. And so they had a little graduation ceremony online, which was kind of anticlimactic. He didn't get the same feeling and hang out with his friends like we all did. So I constantly told him, it's okay. You got your degree. Keep moving, keep doing it, keep achieving. And so he's finally got the idea. And he's kind of moving with that. And he's been an example in the community of other young African Americans when they see him and they hear, interestingly enough, when he's gone on interviews and they say, well, where did you go to college? And he goes, Morehouse. It all of a sudden gives him a little edge. It has been giving him an edge. So what can I say? Fruits in the pudding.
Is it just a regular corporate market or just African American companies or?
No, regular corporate.
Regular corporate.
Regular corporate. They see him really as a cut above. And the reputation, so it's the Morehouse reputation.
And the same thing in higher education. I've worked at Winston-Salem State, Grambling State, Jackson State, Stillman College, Rush College. Now I'm at Kentucky State. And the minute you say Morehouse, it separates you from all the other graduates in higher education. Not just HBCUs, but the PWIs as well.
That's great. That's a good reason for those young brothers to stay in there. Then you need every edge you can get out there today.
Right, absolutely.
And it's imperative for us to begin helping our own because the system's not working for us. We're too divided as a society today.
Well, thank you guys for coming up. I'm gonna let you get back to the party.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for the words of wisdom. Hopefully, when we replay this, young brothers will listen.
Okay.
All right.
So much.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
On April 11, 1881, in the basement of a Black Baptist church in Atlanta, Sophia B. Packard and Harriet E. Giles embarked upon an educational mission, the creation of a school for Black women and girls. Caught up in the wave of Northern missionaries coming south to provide education and Christian training to more than 1 million freed people, Packard and Giles left the comforts of their New England home to fulfill what they believed was their role in bringing a divided nation together. They formed a powerful dream that they shared and pledged their lives to implement. Theirs was a bold vision, a daring dream. It was the mission that led to the founding of the Atlanta Baptist Female Seminary, later renamed Spellman College. Spellman is recognized nationally as a leading educator of African American women. Spellman has grown from its beginnings as a seminary to a pace-setting undergraduate liberal arts institution that enrolls more than 2,103 students from 43 states and 6 foreign countries. The college employs 173 full-time faculty and offers a challenging liberal arts curriculum that has prepared more than 6 generations of African American women to reach the highest levels of academic, community, and professional achievement. Undergraduate degrees are offered in the fine arts, humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. As a member of the Atlanta University Center Consortium, Spellman students enjoy the benefits of a small college while having access to the faculty and physical resources of 4 historically Black institutions.
It's my choice, and I choose to change the world. It's my voice, and I speak with pride and courage.
Hey, this is Mark Powerham. I'm back again. I have the one and only. We're going to have some great conversation here. We're at the Morehouse class of 1978 class reunion. And somebody's very important to the class of 1978, Brother Jerome Russell. And right now we're in, should I say the house that Jerome built? Can I say that? We're at the Russell Center.
I'm on the foundation. Just a different formation.
I've been asking everybody else about Morehouse experience, but let's talk about what's going on over here at the Russell Center. Tell us a story about that.
It's been a journey. 2016, we dropped it into a not-for-profit. We brought Jay Bailey in 2018. We received funding back right before then. COVID came. We were really major momentum going into 2019 with a program to basically grow Black wealth. I mean, our whole mission here at the Russell Center is that the most efficient method to close the wealth gap between Black businesses and white businesses is growing Black businesses. So entrepreneurship is at the heart of who we are and what we do.
Yeah, I want to ask a question, even though you almost gave a little bit of answer, but why?
It's who we are. I mean, this building, think about it, 1952, Herman Russell graduates from Tuskegee. He was already a master plasterer at 16. He had built a duplex at 16. Finds a piece of property on the edge of Southwest downtown, right next to Atlanta University. And he buys this property, builds a 5,000 square foot building with a back area for his plastering equipment. He continues to buy more real estate over the years and eventually expands it to from 5,000 to 15,000. And then we do the big expansion in the late 80s where we go to 50,000 square feet. By then, he has multiple businesses in this building. He has an airport concession business. He has a construction business. We have a real estate business. We have support services to the business. We have property management. Okay. Then the construction, during that time, the people who are heading up the construction division, young people, 10 years later, 15 years later, they go out and start their own business. So it's been a place that has been incubating entrepreneurs
for a long time.
Since 1952.
So let me ask you the Morehouse question that was assigned. How did you get to Morehouse?
I did not go to Morehouse. So here's the thing. I'm an Atlanta native, grew up in Collier Heights. And the issue with me, I had a very interesting time growing up. You know, I was in Black Atlanta, but I was also in White Atlanta.
Gotcha.
So went to Westminster. And so I had a very different perspective growing up here. So when it came time to go to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I ended up going to the University of Tennessee. That didn't work out. Then I came back and went to Georgia State. But I really wanted to get away, which was probably intuitive instinct at that time. So that's kind of it. So, but you know, I mean, I grew up around, got a lot of friends from Morehouse, but never went to Morehouse.
I kind of think they adopted you.
Hey, Calvin,
you got honorary degree.
So, I mean, I can go on and on with different people, you know, from Calvin to Rod to Jeff Tompkins to Aaron Moreland. These are all my guys right now.
So I think you have an honorary. Can we get him a pen or something? You know, but the future here. I mean, now, you know, Jay and I go back a long way.
Yes.
So he's been bringing me over here ever since you started breaking ground, man. And I walk around here today, it's just amazing. But he tells me this is nothing.
Yes, he's right.
So the future.
The future. So here's the deal. Here's what's going on. So let me just let's paint kind of what's going on in America right now. America is at a point where there's always been inequality in America. So what? 1% of the population in America controls 50% of the wealth. 5% controls 60%, and then 10% controls 90%. So it's what 3.5 million people control 90% of the wealth. Right? So either there's no middle class anymore. The middle class is getting wiped away, and that middle class displacement is creating all sorts of undercurrents politically, both black and white. Okay, I mean, when you look at and this is my opinion, I think what Trump's his whole market is the uneducated whites, because they're threatened because of inequality. Okay, and it pits us against each other. So that's my issue with him. He's an adversarial strategy that's being used. So nobody's addressing the inequality of wealth in America. And then when you break it down to black people, it gets worse. So we feel that we're at a stage where if we can rise the ship and everybody wins, it's really good for our society, because our society is really in really serious challenges.
Keep that on a frame on it. You said everybody wins. I mean, that's important.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, if the GDP, if we can grow more black businesses, it lifts the GDP of America.
Gotcha.
Now, it may be small, but it's major when it comes to changing the wealth trajectory. So that's what we're in, and we're just going to lean in, because we're going to lean in on this further, and we're going to stay true to the community. But we're also going to advance this platform into more accelerated businesses, because we realize that we're going to have to grow and change. The only way we're going to really change the gap is we got to have both a grassroots program and a program really that's accelerating black business growth.
So the last question I have for you, and I've kind of added this, there's a lot of young brothers out there right now trying to go to college, but they get on TV, they see the get rich quick, all this stuff. What kind of advice do you have for them, about college and how they should continue the journey in their life?
Well, the first thing I would say is that whatever you may be doing, is you really have to be passionate about it. okay? And there's a lot of ways you can make money. You can go down different pathways, but I would say the key thing is that you really got to have a passion, and the world is changing. So we really, me as a late baby boomer, we have to listen to this next generation, right, and really hear them out and try to guide them to where the opportunities are. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here is to say, hey, this is kind of like a 10-year increment we're working on. Gotcha. And we can't like say we're going to go all in on one area. We got to be a master collaborator, and we got to partner. This thing is all about partnerships.
Yeah, that's what Jay preached.
Yeah, it's all about partnerships, collaboration. Because what we say, Jay and I talk about this all the time. Collaboration trumps competition.
There you go. That's what he said. So I do have one more question.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you know the secret Morehouse handshake?
No, I don't. I'm just a country boy. Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming out. I'm going to let you get back to the party. All right.
Brainwashed about 5 minutes of your life.
There you go, man.
No memory.
Morehouse College was founded in 1867 during the Reconstruction era and is one of the many historically black colleges and universities created at this time with the intent of providing education to African Americans. During Reconstruction, hundreds of historically black colleges and universities were founded in order to improve literacy and increase educational opportunities among the newly freed slaves. Some of these included Tuskegee University, Spellman College, Howard University, and Hampton University. Morehouse College, as well as other historically black colleges and universities, acted as a sanctuary for African Americans in a racist and oppressive society. To this day, Morehouse College provides African American males with the opportunity to gain a higher education and boasts an extensive list of notable alumni. Morehouse College was co-founded by William White and Richard Coulter, a former slave who was freed during the Civil War. The college was founded in the basement of Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia, which was the oldest independent African American church in the United States. The college was originally named the Augusta Institute and was sponsored by the American Baptist Home Mission Society, whose purpose was to provide financial aid to African American colleges. The Augusta Institute originally set out to train preachers and teachers, as well as increase literacy among African American males. However, the Augusta Institute found that there were many obstacles ahead of them, including financial and racial troubles. The high tension between the white and black communities in Augusta, due to the presence of the Augusta Institute, led to the relocation of the college.
Good evening, this is Mark Parham, and I'm back here at the Morehouse class of 1978 class reunion. And I got two more gentlemen with me. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Vincent Stovall, class of 78. And George Arterberry, also the class of 1978.
All right. So, you know, I gave you a list of questions I'm going to start with. But the first question is going to be, how did you get to Morehouse?
Well, I was destined. My daddy went to Morehouse and his two brothers in the 40s.
Legacy.
Yeah, with Martin Luther King. And then I ended up going there, and my brother. And then my son just graduated. So
Wow.
Arterberry men have been going to Morehouse since 1941.
Wow. That's quite a legacy there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was a first generation college student, and we knew that Martin Luther King Jr. attended Morehouse, and I had a real good friend at my high school who attended Morehouse, and he encouraged me to attend as well. So I'm so glad that I made that journey.
You know, the second question here is, while you were here, what was one of your greatest achievements?
Oh, one thing that I did was I was on the forensics team, and so I was able to get together with a great group of students from both Morehouse and Spellman, and we competed in intercollegiate tournaments in the areas of poetry, interpretation, dramatic duo, informative and persuasive speaking, and it set the groundwork for what was to come. And I didn't join the forensics team until my senior year, and I wish I had joined in my freshman year. It was a great growth experience.
Yeah. As for me, yeah, I was pre-med, so I had some honors in pre-med, and I was a finalist for the Merrill Scholarship to send you overseas. I didn't get it, but I think my greatest achievement at Morehouse were the associations and friendships that I made, which have carried me the last 49 years. I I travel quite a bit on business, and I can go to any state, and I can call up a Morehouse man. He might have been in my class, he may not have been, but there's a bond, and there's that shared legacy, and you know, we can talk about all of that, and generally, they are successful. And when I mean successful, I don't necessarily mean in a monetary sense, but they're just successful in terms of being good fathers, you know, being good husbands, and just being good civil servants in terms of just giving back. And that you definitely learn at this place.
And that kind of leads me into the next question. How did your experience here impact the rest of your life?
Well, for me, it laid a good foundation. It was very.
Keep hearing that foundation word.
It did. I mean, because it helped me to be comfortable in who I am as an African American. When I was in environments where I might have been the minority, I was not intimidated, and I always spoke up for what was right, and fearless, and confident, and convinced, and you know, always had the spirit of helping others. You know, paying it forward. That's a very important thing for me.
That's something else I keep hearing. Paying it forward.
Paying it forward. Got to do it. And you know, as George mentioned, you know, the friendships. You know, I haven't seen George in a long time, and every now and then we'll text each other or we'll FaceTime each other.
Come across each other on social media.
Absolutely. And it's like we just picking up where we left off, you know, and that friendship, and it's family. Yeah.
I hear that too.
And the dovetail with Brother Stovall said, when I was growing up, I told you my father was a Morehouse man, and on our coffee table we would always have 3 magazines: Ebony, Jet, and the Morehouse College Alumni book. And he would always pick that up, and he'd pick up Jet, and he'd say, open the pages. I guarantee you there's somebody in there who's a Morehouse man who was always right for his generation. Then I come to my generation, it's the same thing. Somebody said, did you know Spike Lee? Or did you know Edwin Moses? Or did you know this doctor? That kind of thing. But the thing that Morehouse gave me that I can take away, and I know my father took it away, and my son took it away when they were here, is that sense of agency, that sense of advocacy that you get at this place. And as Stovall said, when I was in the business world, and I've sat with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and all of them, I never felt like I was intimidated in the room because I was from Morehouse.
That's right. Never.
I've been hearing that.
And when I would get in the room with brothers from Stanford, Harvard, Yale, I felt like, you know, I was the king of the room. I owned the room because I went to Morehouse.
That's right. You had something they didn't have.
Well, that leads me to my last question, which is a lot of young brothers out here today in school, not in school, trying to figure their way, but they're getting influenced by so many different things. Get rich quick, dropping beats, and doing everything. So what would be your advice to them to stay in school, particularly to the young brothers at Morehouse? Why should they hang in there?
Well, let me tackle that, because I actually teach high school, 11th and 12th grades, college prep, and business for kids, black and brown kids in the deepest part of the hood in Oakland, where there's no sense of wanting to go to college. Everybody's first generation. And they're always asking me about where I went, and then I open up the door to Morehouse. But the better than speaking it, it's that they see me every day, and they see what kind of brother I am. I'm not LeBron, or I'm not Denzel, but just an average garden variety, go to work every day brother, and they can be like, damn, I might want to be like him.
Yeah, I always tell students, because I was in higher ed for many, many years, and conduct and put together leadership conferences, and I would teach and on a college level, and the students, I would challenge them, I was tough on them, and I expected greatness out of them, and I tell them, you need to expect greatness out of yourselves. And I tell students a lot of times, get out of your way. Sometimes people will get in there where they'll talk about all the reasons why they can't do certain things, and they're afraid to try different things. And you have to be open, and I think you have to have some kind of a spiritual foundation. And I think it's important for you to listen to that inner voice. For me, I call it God. And so when that inner voice speaks to me and it doesn't make sense sometimes, I have learned to go with it anyway, because there is a door that's about to open for you. And I pass that on to students, and students follow me on my Instagram page and Facebook. And when they see some of the things that I've done, they have comments where they'll say things like, thank you for pouring into me. Some of the things that you said have helped me to get to where I am, and I am paying it forward. And it's always heartwarming when you hear those kind of things.
And if I could just put a period behind that, the world famous Morehouse College hymn, which we had to sing every day, and anytime Morehouse men get together, every day, and anytime Morehouse men get together, we sing it. The first line is, dear old Morehouse, we have pledged our lives to thee. And to thee can be the higher spiritual thee, or to Mother Morehouse. And you can see a living example. We were at Morehouse 50 years ago, and we're still talking about it as if it's part of our everyday life.
And that's what I found out. Talked to quite a few people today, and it's a lie. It's like y'all got out like last week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You just walked across the stage. This is like 40 years ago.
50.
Yeah,
we met 49 years ago.
Well, that's right. Might have a herniated disc, but in my back, but still moving it.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna let you get back to the party.
All right.
Guys for coming
really
out.
Thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Let me see if somebody's out here. All right. Do you want to send somebody up here?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
On April 11th, 1880.
U.S. News & World Report recently released its list of the best colleges and universities for 2018. Among HBCUs, or historically black colleges and universities, Atlanta Spellman College comes in at number 1. Spellman, a 4-year liberal arts college for women, started originally in 1881 as Atlanta Baptist Female Seminary in the basement of Atlanta's historic Friendship Baptist Church. Spellman holds the distinction as America's first and oldest private liberal arts HBCU for women. Harriet Giles and Sophia Packard, who were lifelong friends and teachers from Massachusetts, came to Atlanta with $100 and a purpose: to create a school for black freed women. They found support from Frank Quarles, the pastor of Friendship Baptist Church. They began with 11 African American women. Today, Spellman College boasts a student enrollment of slightly more than 2,100 women pursuing undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. The school's list of alumna reads like a who's who of black women leaders in all industries, including Alice Walker, author of The Color Purple, Children's Defense Fund founder Marian Wright Edelman, Keisha Knight Pulliam, Rudy Huxtable from The Cosby Show, And Rosalind Brewer, the former CEO of Sam's Club, recently named the first woman and first African American chief operating officer of Starbucks. That's This Week in Black History, and I'm Monica Pearson.
Morehouse College was founded in 1867 during the Reconstruction era and is one of the many historically black colleges and universities created at this time with the intent of providing education to African Americans. During Reconstruction, hundreds of historically black colleges and universities were founded in order to improve literacy and increase educational opportunities among the newly freed slaves. Some of these included Tuskegee University, Spellman College, Howard University, and Hampton University. Morehouse College, as well as other historically black colleges and universities, acted as a sanctuary for African Americans in a racist and oppressive society. To this day, Morehouse College provides African American males with the opportunity to gain a higher education and boasts an extensive list of notable alumni. Morehouse College was co-founded by William White and Richard Coulter, a former slave who was freed during the Civil War. The college was founded in the basement of Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia, which was the oldest independent African American church in the United States. The college was originally named the Augusta Institute and was sponsored by the American Baptist Home Mission Society, whose purpose was to provide financial aid to African American colleges. The Augusta Institute originally set out to train preachers and teachers, as well as increase literacy among African American males. However, the Augusta Institute found that there were many obstacles ahead of them, including financial and racial troubles. The high tension between the white and black communities in Augusta, due to the presence of the Augusta Institute, led to the relocation of the college. In 1879, the Augusta Institute relocated to Atlanta in hopes of improving the school's condition. Atlanta had a large African American population and was also a center for African American education. It was renamed the Atlanta Baptist Seminary and was located in the basement of the Friendship Baptist Church. John D. Rockefeller donated land to the seminary, and the school relocated to its present location in southwest Atlanta. The school was, ironically, constructed around the remains of defensive fortifications that had been built by the Confederate Army during Sherman's siege of Atlanta. In 1897, the college changed names again and was renamed the Atlanta Baptist College. It was at this time the college elected its first black president, John Hope, and experienced a period of strong academic excellence. When Morehouse College was founded, the educational opportunities available to African Americans were minimal. Morehouse College provided African American males the ability to not only gain literacy, but also gain invaluable knowledge that would continue to benefit them in a time when African Americans were considered second-class citizens. The founders of Morehouse College understood that without an
Hey, this is Mark Parham. Save the best for last. You know, the reason why I'm here, I got a call that said, Mark, I need you. You know, because he's like the puppet master. This is here, it's Calvin Visvale, who kind of orchestrated this night. I'm at the Morehouse Spellman class of 1978 class reunion. Calvin, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Calvin Visvale, class agent for the Morehouse class of 1978. I've been serving as class agent since 1979, and it's a labor of love, and I wanted to make sure that my classmates all had a good time. They had a chance to enjoy the fellowship and the food and the beverages.
I mean, so what was it like pulling this together? Was it like 45 years?
Well, I tell you, it is work, and over time, you know, you have to deal with personalities and try to understand, you know, the human beings that you're having to interact with. This time, I did have more people that wanted to get engaged and involved. I was told by the business manager when we were in college, who was also his class agent 15 years ago, he said, your 45th is the big one. She said, don't get fooled, it's not the 50th. He says the 45th, because you're going to have probably your highest level of participation, which has turned out to be true.
So let's talk about tonight. I mean, I see, you know what, I've been walking around, everybody's smiling, talking, you know. How does that feel when you put this
It's
together?
just overwhelming. It's really overwhelming. And I had my brothers who surprised me tonight with a special presentation.
Yeah, I saw that. I was
Everybody
totally
saw it because we are live. It
live.
was totally unexpected by me. I didn't even want to give Brother George Folks the microphone, but then I realized he doesn't need a microphone. And he just went right into it, and I was overwhelmed. And the Brother K.T. Whalum, Pastor K.T. Whalum, our classmate, he laid hands on me. I felt the Holy Ghost. And it was such an overwhelming surprise. And you know, you work hard, and when I work hard at these kind of things, I never do it with an expectation.
Right. You know what? We known each other for a long time.
Yes, we have.
But that's why we've been friends. Okay, because there's no expectations.
And we've been through some things
Yeah,
together.
we've been through some things. That's a whole nother show. That's another show.
But Mark, let me just say thank you for doing this tonight, Mark, and putting this on the record. I'm hoping that this will be like the first episode of the Morehouse Chronicles.
Yeah, I forgot to say that at the beginning.
So this is really important to get certain things on the record. You know, we got to, have our history and before we allow somebody else to tell it.
I tell you one of the things I learned tonight, in one word, pride. And they're so proud, it's like they graduated last week. Okay? They're carrying the same pride that they went to this institution, and they're proud to talk about it.
Well, I tell you, Mark, when we went through Morehouse, because I had a friend ask me once, he said, how would you describe the process of matriculating? He said, he talks to his friends at Howard, his friends at A&T, his friends at some of the other schools, and they talk about how much fun they had. He said, how would you describe matriculating to Morehouse? I said, well, fun isn't even the top 100 words. I mean, what we went through to get out, now we found a way to have fun, but the process of getting through and graduating from Morehouse College was definitely not fun. It was extremely arduous. I mean, it was challenging, but it taught you, at the time, you felt that you were really uncared for, unloved, and you felt like you were being purposely, in some cases, disrespected or discriminated against.
Wow.
But in retrospect, what you gleaned from coming through that process was like for one thing, you never, after that, you never accepted, you never just accepted the word no.
Wow.
You say you didn't take no for an answer. You just kind of found a way to get to yes.
Wow.
And so
and you know what? That's one thing you don't take no. I mean, that's what, as long as I know you never take. We've been through some things.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times people will, it's a lonely road when you have something you've been inspired by a vision of sorts. I've been accused of, dreaming and having a dream that tonight was a dream, and you're going overboard and you're being overly extravagant and no, you can't do this and you can't do that. Well, I always look for a way. If I have if God has inspired me in some way to see something, allow me to view something, and I believe it's good and it's good for not just me but for other people, I lock in on it and I do my best to.
All right. Well, of course, I got to ask you the 3 questions I asked everybody else.
Okay.
So, how'd you get to Morehouse?
I got to Morehouse. My mother walked me around the campus at 3. I didn't want to go when I was a senior in high school. My dad, who didn't go to Morehouse, he said, "Why don't you take a week during your spring break and spend a week on campus?" And I did that. And I was, you know, when I got there, I stayed in the guest room in the oldest building on campus. Had a little window air conditioning unit. The other brothers that went to high school ahead of me greeted me, and they told me how unforgiving the professors were, how bad the food. I was almost a vegetarian then, and then they walked me. So we're going to go over to the yard about 4 o'clock. I didn't know what to talk about. So we walked on Spellman's campus. We sat in front of the cafeteria. By 6 o'clock, I called my dad. I said, "It's not such a bad place after all. I think I can tough it out." So that's how I got to Morehouse.
All right. So, what was your greatest achievement, accomplishment while you were here?
Wow. Well, for me, I looked at Morehouse as an adventure, and during that adventure, I founded the Atlanta University Center Vegetarian Society. I was on the Atlanta University Center Board of Trustees. I was, on the Atlanta University Center Student Council. I founded, the business. We started the business club. I did a number of things that I was very proud of those accomplishments. But I looked at it as a grand adventure.
Grand adventure. All right. And second to the last question, how did your Morehouse experience help you with the continued journey with your life?
I would have to say that it reassured me, and it gave me the network and the brotherhood, the lifelong relationships that help fuel you along the way. Whatever comes along in the journey, you know that you're not traveling alone. You know that there's some brothers you can call on that have your back, and that you don't. It's not questioned, and you got their back as well. Right. So I would say having the value of experiencing the brotherly love, and it's like the wind beneath your wings that propel you on. Because we did a lot of pioneering. When we came out, I was in a group of 7 that got the first degree in banking finance from Morehouse College. We did not know that our professor, who was working on his dissertation PhD in real estate investments and finance, was bringing the kind of theoretical finance into the classroom. He was just a professor, but I found out later how much it helped me understand how capital moved and how capital flowed. So it just helped me.
All right. The last question I've been asking everyone. There's a lot of young brothers at Morehouse right now, but they're being tempted. Facebook, all the TikTok, all these. You don't need college. You can do it this way. What do you want to say to them? Keep them on their journey.
Well, what I would say to them is take advantage of the opportunity to steep yourself in the legacy and understand where you are in the lineage. We stand on the shoulders of others. You have to know who you are in context with where you came from and who came before you. I would say that's the most important thing, that going to college, being in college, and especially if it's a Morehouse college, drink deep of the cup, okay? Just, imbue yourself with it and finish, go through it, have completion, and then you have it for the rest of your life.
Wow, that's powerful.
Well,
it's kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, so I just want to, we're at the Morehouse Spellman class of 1978 class reunion. This is the last interview for the evening. I'll play a little bit of something before we go out. They've had music, they've had dancing, they've been doing everything here. So, any last words, Calvin, before we close?
I just want to say thank you, Mark. You were the only person who can do this for us tonight. I appreciate it.
No
Love
worries,
you much.
No worries. All right, I'm going to go out with